So, Ogden Nash first. The strange case of Mr. Donnybrook's boredom. Once upon a time, there was a man named Mr. Donnybrook. He was married to a woman named Mrs. Donnybrook. Mr. and Mrs. Donnybrook dearly loved to be bored. Sometimes they were bored at the ballet, other times at the cinema. They were bored riding elephants in India and elevators in the Empire State Building. They were bored in speakeasies during Prohibition, in cocktail lounges after repeal. They were bored by Grand Dukes and garbage men, debutantes and demi-mondaines, opera singers and operations. They scoured the 5 continents and the 7 seas in their mad pursuit of boredom. This went on for years and years. One day, Mr. Donnybrook turned to Mrs. Donnybrook. "My dear," he said, "we've reached the end of our road. We have exhausted every yawn. The world holds nothing more to jade our titillated palates." "Well," said Mrs. Donnybrook, "we might try insomnia." So they tried insomnia. About 2 o'clock in the morning, Mr. Donnybrook said, "My insomnia is certainly quite boring, isn't it?" And Mrs. Donnybrook said, "It certainly was, wasn't it?" Mr. Donnybrook said, "It certainly was." Pretty soon he began to count sheep. Mrs. Donnybrook began to count sheep too. After a while, Mr. Donnybrook said, "Hey, you're counting my sheep." "Stop counting my sheep," said Mr. Donnybrook. "Why, the very idea," said Mrs. Donnybrook. "I guess I know my own sheep, don't I?" "How?" said Mr. Donnybrook. "They're cattle," said Mrs. Donnybrook. "They're cattle, and longhorns at that. Furthermore," said Mrs. Donnybrook, "us cattle ranchers is so tired of you sheepmen plumb ruining our water. I give you fair warning," said Mrs. Donnybrook. "You better get them woolly gilla monsters or you're in back across the Rio Grande after morning, or I'm going to string you up to the nearest cottonwood." "Caramba," sneered Mr. Donnybrook. "These is free range, no?" "No," said Mrs. Donnybrook. "Not for sheepmen." She strung him up on the nearest cottonwood. Mr. Donnybrook had never been so bored in his life.